something in this morning, Ben, about reform.
Oh, yeah, I forgot all about that. Yeah, that's been advertised on my YouTube for a hot minute. But
yeah, I've seen it everywhere.
I was like, oh, let's avoid it. And then I woke up and I was like, you know what? Let's just get it done with. Let's see what's happening. Obviously, because that council is a quite large one and also is the area that I kind of reside in currently. So good to know what.
I saw this.
Oh, it was Kent County Council. Reform.
Oh, about them collapsing because they're on.
Yeah. So it's just like,
Yeah, I couldn't bring myself to watch it, but I saw the headline.
yeah, and I was like, you know what? Let's just get this out of the way. And then, like, if that type of sentiment can be like replicated across the entire Reform Party, we won't have much to worry about, because it was just utter chaos from the 2-minute snippet that I saw. It was so nice, like, genuinely. Like, I like to envision myself as someone who doesn't particularly enjoy the downfall of like groups or people, but that really put a smile on my face this morning. But yeah, it was just utter chaos, and I was like, you know what? I'm glad that I took the time a couple days ago to not watch it and give myself a little bit of peace, because if they were actually organized and like, you know, if the clip was completely different, I would have been very sad. But yeah, that was the pick me up.
Yeah, if there was any risk of a piss up in that particular brewery, it'd be quite concerning. But I think they're showing their sort of organisational inaptitude.
But what I would say is that does any of this really change anything? Like what I'm saying is that from what I've heard, they've kind of done the damage already. Like they're looking for things to cut, but they've already cut certain things. So even though they can't organise themselves and they can't organise the piss up in the brewery, they still have actually like, and the things that they've cut, they're not like, they've found out that basically when you go in the cupboard and find the one pride flag that costs like £5 from Amazon or something on the government, like, you know, that there isn't really much gay shit to cut everywhere to make savings. So apparently the stuff that they've actually like saved is just by stopping investment and projects that are going into the local community. So just going, we'll save money by not building things.
Just doing nothing.
But at some point, people are going to go, yeah, but we actually, you know, when we came in and we said, I want you to take all the money and get away from the immigrants or whatever, I meant that you should spend that money on us. Not just you should not give it to them, but just don't give it to anyone. I'm just going to stop it. We're going to save money by doing nothing. I feel less buoyed by this than you, Ben, but maybe it's because you're deep in the Kent belly and it means kind of more to you that this is heartening, whereas I just think it is because it's proof of how shit they are. But I would like to posit that the other side of that is that their shitness and their fucking racism has not stopped them going where they've got already. So they could just keep going. Yeah. And then I posit a different, worse scenario, which is that they do get in power and they're just as shit as they were on that fucking call.
Which is a horrifying thing to consider.
Yeah. What could 5 years of them really do? Like, I don't... This is when these kind of things bring me as close to I'll get as like accelerationist arguments. I think I'm just so fucking black-pilled that they're like, even I keep thinking, let's just fucking
just push it as far as it'll go.
Yeah, let's let it get real bad. Because someone surely will learn a lesson when it gets really bad. But that's never happened because we've had so many bad lessons. Like I can't believe.
Like should have been. I like it's just I don't know. Maybe we just have very short memories and need shit to get really bad every like 25 years rather than every 50.
Well, we've definitely got very short memories because everything that we're looking at as bad now there is a fucking direct analog to is that the right term, to the past. And we can literally fucking see what happened last time. Like people got all very right wing and racist. We know what happened when this situation, that situation. So
Yeah, if it's not 1930s Germany, it's definitely 1980s UK again,
yeah,
which is good because it shows we've definitely developed somehow. Or nostalgia's gotten so aggressive that we even think like anything in the past must be good now.
yeah. I'm thinking of pivoting my channel a bit more into nostalgia, just because I keep looking at my channel analytics and like
I was gonna say, it gets clicks.
what's that? Sorry.
It gets clicks.
It does, but also there is an element of like that. I keep thinking about like I should just do things that like just talk about things that are fun and that I like, and therefore that kind of like I think translates. Whenever I've done anything that's been a bit sort of like I'm going to take a pop at you from a philosophical left like standpoint or a political one, doesn't seem to do much for me. But it's also about like we've spoken recently a lot about like like sort of self-care in terms of like I'm just not going to fucking do it because I just care too much about like my own mental well-being. Like
Yeah.
I'm not going to watch that thing because maybe a bit like Ben, I'm not going to watch that reform thing then. I'm going to watch it 3 days later because I don't need that right now. So it's a little bit like that sort of thing in as much as that I don't know. I'm very black pilled on the world at the moment.
We just have black pill on a Saturday as a treat.
What was I going to say? There was something else around the kind of like the reform stuff. I think I've just read a lot of things that are like either attacks on the left or like leftist infighting. Not really leftist infighting. There's just been a lot of things annoying me. Like, obviously, I don't know how well any of the attacks on Zach Polanski are going because he seems to be just sort of like batting them away.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Like
So nice
Jeremy
to see.
Clarkson wrote a
Oh,
piece,
God,
just
yeah.
sort of like basically all he had to say was like, "Oh, he looks like he's got
Got
shit teeth." To paraphrase him, and it's like there is a. But this is my problem, right? I think it feeds back into the other thing and the reform thing in general is that they he. I just don't know how to put it, but like I think it's something about what I said at the beginning about like hopefulness, but like I'm like 50% on each because I am hopeful all these things happening. But then like I don't know. I just watched like there's this guy I watch called the Tabernacle, and he's like,
Oh, it's a-
yeah, I like the Tabernacle, but he's a younger guy, and he's a bit fucking smug. Like he's a bit smug about shit. Like he thinks he's fucking hot shit, and he's very smart, like a younger guy. But like this morning, like he's having a pop. He's not having a pop. He doesn't say he's having a pop, but that's essentially what he's fucking doing. I like Gary's economics, and I'm like, how can you be quite like clued in and bright, but not understand what his MO is? He's not here to
yeah.
fucking spread leftist policy. He's a single issue guy that's working incredibly hard to just create the conversation around wealth inequality. Doesn't even say he knows how to fix it, just that we need to sort of maybe tax some of that wealth. And so,
Yeah. Not everything needs a leftist critique, and we can just leave stuff alone when it's going pretty well. And
yeah,
like not dismantle the shit that we've got that might take us in the right direction.
yeah. And I think it's just, like, to me, it seems like it's just, he is very left wing. He's probably more like on par with us. I mean, he would probably actually just call himself a communist, but he's, so like, we agree on a lot of things, but just, I don't see how someone can't see that Gary is a net positive for what he's doing.
Yeah.
Like, it's not,
Yeah, you don't need to flex on him just because you can.
it's more like, well, no, it's exactly that, but like it's more, oh, you're doing this just because I feel like he just wants to do it to just drum up a little bit of drama, and then I think that's another issue or another ingredient in this whole kind of like malaise of just feeling sad and black pilled, which is that like he can't. Like we can't all just be saying the things that you want me to, like, that he wants him to say. He's leftist and he wants Gary to say things that he would say. But Gary's just a guy who, like he said, Gary obviously leans left. Like, I know, like there's layers to that onion that I've tried to peel back.
And he's never claimed to be a socialist.
He's never claimed to be a socialist. He doesn't do that kind of, like, he's clearly like playing the balance game because he doesn't want to alienate anyone. Because this is what pissed a lot of people off recently. Is his second from last video he did. He said the kind of thing of like, look, I'm paraphrasing, but don't attack reform voters and call them racist because it's not conducive. And of course, a lot of people go, yeah, but they are fucking racist, which I agree with. But I do understand what he's saying because there has to be something to think
But this
about.
is how we got Trump and Brexit, right?
Yeah, but there has to be something when I think about that and about the fact that, what was I going to say? Like racism. Like when you ask some of those, if you went and asked some of those reform voters, if you said to them, "Are you racist?" Quite a few of them will probably just say, "Yeah, I fucking hate brown people," or whatever. But the majority of and this is why I'm trying to sort of like be a bit, a bit more on Gary's side here. But the majority of those people are racist. They're doing racist things. They're saying racist things, but they don't realise it. Because if you were to ask them, "Are you racist?" they'd all say no. So what the fuck is going on? Like, how does that's like? I guess maybe this feeds into other things I've been talking about today, but like sort of like the cognitive dissonance. So it's like with you, Ben, and you're talking about the Reform Council. It's like, well, it doesn't seem to matter how incompetent they are; they just keep going forward. So it's a little like I don't know.
I think a lot of the problem is like with sort of like the Tabernacle thing is like a lot of the people on the left want to be the next Marx, and they don't actually like working class solidarity or equality or everyone, like they're still trying to flex on each other. And it's like, look, Gary's economics is doing a lot of the heavy lifting that we didn't do. So like, let him carry that. I'm not very strong. Let him do the heavy lifting. Like,
true. And it's also like, look, it's another example of like why it's not bad to be a single issue campaigner or whatever. Look at Jeremy Corbyn. When would we all agree that Corbyn's at his most effective is when he's just fucking sitting on the back benches, just harping away about genocide or war crimes? He sticks to the thing and he just pursues it. Whereas he wasn't good as a leader or an administrator or any of these other things. So, like, the fact that, we don't need to be all fighting all. Like, I think that's something like there's no perfect solution. So I'd rather have Gary doing his thing over there because then he starts a conversation and then we can come back to it and we can think of an actual sort of way of doing things or whatever. I think the one thing I wanted to just say about Gary is like, I was talking about him sort of obviously exhibiting left-wing tendencies. And for those that have eyes to see, like you saw, Mark, there's a few little like things that to me say he's further to the left than he ever gives on, which is like, I'm sorry, if you're turning out in your fucking Disco Elysium t-shirt every week, I feel like you're doffing your cap to someone in the audience. But he is like, he's very popular. Like, and that's a good thing. Like, how can it be bad? And this is what you just said there, Mark, a minute ago. I feel like it's about. You went robotic, but you're back now. But I think this is about like
There you go.
You're back. What was I going to say? Can't remember. If it's important, it'll come back. But it was yeah, it's fine.
But I saw some like guy that I normally quite like that I follow on Twitter sort of dunking on the Greens and Zach Polanski because he's not leftist enough. And it's like,
I don't really understand.
Look, you're not going to get, even if someone was leftist enough in that position, it wouldn't make tactical sense to come out full bore. I'm not going to say that Zach Polanski's a communist. Certainly not communist enough for my liking. But I'm not going to slew him because you're never going to get someone you like in that position, and you kind of have to like temper your expectations in that.
There does have to be a little bit of like recognizing like things about like human. I don't know what's the right word. Human instincts, human habits. Like people, you know, like we like the idea of a sort of reformed communism or something, I guess. We have to be honest and look at communism and go, well, there are some things about how some people have done it in the past that didn't
gone poorly.
Some things went poorly anyway, but also like it's just like I watched that guy on YouTube called Yushanka Show, and he's like a guy that was born in Ukraine when it was still under the Soviet Union, and then later in his like late teens or 20s or whatever, he moved to America and he lives there. So he talks about his time living in like Soviet Russia, and he talks about the Kopek system and all the currencies. He talks about like the state, like all your housing and stuff, and he talks about it from both sides. And he talks about it like, you know, a lot of the places were quite small. Like the system you had in place, if you wanted to move somewhere else, you kind of swapped with someone. Like there's ways of doing these things, but he talks about it from like, you know, it's not all bad. People liked having security of like somewhere to live. So it's like I've always said to Connie, like, and this leads to a bigger sort of like discussion around like capitalism and how it doesn't. But like, it's like I said to Connie, you know, what was I just saying?
People liking security.
Yeah, people like security, and we're watching this guy, and he's talking about like Soviet Russia and things, and it's like, well, do you know what? We could try and do that again, but learn from things we did before and do them differently. Like, okay, we know that people like to have. Maybe we need to build flats with more space. Maybe we need to consider more things in this new like communist project, and so therefore, you know, whereas like capitalism sort of it comes back to my sort of thing about like capitalism seems to get a do-over all the time. Well, I'm not even sure it's a do-over, because a do-over implies that we all go, all right, take that shot again. Whereas like where it's more just sort of like, oh, your thing is shit, and they go, doesn't matter, we're doing it again, but different somehow. But it's never really that different. And so like I think my argument has always been in terms of like what I'm thinking about like people. I don't know. I have no answers today. All I have is confusing thoughts about how angry I am. And now I'm sweaty because I've put on like Connie's mum knitted this jumper. So it's like, I don't know, it's immediately made me start sweating. So talk amongst yourselves.
I think one thing that I have a little bit of hope for and I find kind of fun is just that I really like the idea of like single issue type of people really, really, really kind of pressing a subject forward, because like that means one member of the party, like the lead of the party, are talking about like what they want to talk about, and I like the idea that maybe somehow that single issue person will continue to like push the conversation into the stratosphere so that like it can't be ignored. Now that might be me being super optimistic, but like I think one of the things that I found with when I've been watching stuff like with Gary's Economics, but also just like watching stuff from like Zach Polanski, it's just like it's always just talking about the inequality. And just like when I was watching the clip that I sent earlier this morning about one of the interviewers, I've literally forgotten her name, even though it was just there. She was talking about like, oh, well, Switzerland have only raised 9.5 billion. Norway's only raised 2.5 billion. Spain has only raised, I think it was either just over $1 billion or 600 million. And they were just like, and you, Zach Polanski, you've said that you want to, that it can be seen to be almost raised between 15 to 25 billion. But look at all these other countries that haven't even raised nowhere near about what you're predicting. And then Zach was like, look, it's not about like trying to reach those numbers. Like the numbers that have been reached are not insignificant amounts of money. Like 9.5 billion. Like I can barely imagine what that looks like, even like written on a piece of paper. Right. And he said that like he also said in terms that it wasn't just about kind of like taxation or just like kind of like raising funds, because that can be done like from the government perspective. It's just talking about like literally just starting off like a little bit from somewhere, just even more so than just like if they're able to raise like even like a couple billions worth, that's still going to be money that would not be originally like seen or just like transferred in either way. So it's just like it's really really nice to see just that like Zach Bansky is just like taking the knife, just sticking it in and just twisting it over and over and over again. It's like yeah, it's just really really nice to see. And I really really hope that at some point that like if there is a space, if there is like a further conversation to be had about like wider things, that it can be addressed. But like right now, like everything that he's saying resonates with me. Like people aren't getting paid enough. People are struggling. Like people who, the only people who are thriving are the people that like won't even recognize what it means to be like a worker, I guess. But yeah, I just like the idea of like sticking the knife in and just twisting it, which he seems to be doing. Just really nice.
I hate that.
Also comparing us to like saying, well, other countries have only done X. It's like, well, we aren't that country.
Yeah,
so probably be different here because it's different.
Yeah.
Oof.
He did really well because he had like some person on Twitter, like, because of course it's always a person on Twitter, literally timed like how much time each person got to speak. It was like something along the lines of Nigel Farage got like 15 minutes. Another person who was like not an MP got like 12, and Zach got like 8. And then it was just like, imagine 8 minutes just to really, really get all the points, like bat away any of the silliness and still come up on top. It was great. And like the thing that really made me happy and made me want to share the clip with you was just that when Polanski was talking about just like the independent group that was talking about like the forecasting of the finances, he said that like sometimes because there have been allegations of like them kind of being in contact with like the big banks like Barclays, he said that like when you have people like those on advisory boards, they might not have your best interests at heart. And then it was so funny because the interviewer, and you could tell the producer were just like, we're scrambling for words. Like she just started stuttering and everything. And it was marvelous. But yeah, it seems that quality is very much over quantity, which makes me very happy.
I think his biggest benefit is that he's, when attacked, he's doing he's not doing what Corbyn did when he was like in 2017 or whatever, all that kind of stuff. When he's being attacked, Zach Polanski's essentially doing the equivalent of turning around and going, fuck off. Whereas like, and Corbyn never did.
Corbyn has to like stop being mean to me rather than just say,
did he? He would just sort of go like, and sort of like look on them and like, I'm above you. I'm going to not debase myself by arguing with you. And it's like, yeah, but do you know what you look like? You just look like a sullen old man who just walked off. Whereas, unfortunately, a lot of our population are operating at much more base levels. So if you say, fuck you, dickhead, that resonates with more people. Like I always wanted him to just sort of go, well, that's wrong, or that's stupid because of this, and just sort of like be a bit more acerbic, a bit more like fight back. And so that's what like Zach's doing. And go back to what you were saying, Ben, about like having people like specialising or pushing one thing. Like, is that sort of like what we would get if we could achieve like proportional representation? Arguments against me have always been like, from my friends, have been like, oh, it will take forever to make decisions, to do anything. But like, I don't know, like, shouldn't we take our time over those kind of decisions anyway? But if we have more different represented parties within that process and there's no clear like winner, then each party can kind of push their issue, like you said, Ben, with like passion and sort of effectively like So the Green in a PA sort of, well, maybe the Greens could just really push for more sort of ecological stuff, green stuff, or whatever. Like if people could, if you're really passionate about like a policy, then perhaps you could pursue that and get that through because you'd compromised, spoke with. I don't know. I think we're slipping into hopeful territory again, and therefore I'm immediately doused in just sort of like, oh, that's never going to happen, is it?
I'll play punk rocker to you ad nauseum so that you can feel the hope.
What
surge.
Is punk rocker by who?
Teddy Bear.
Iggy Pop's in it.
Oh, okay. I mean,
I think
might be a hot take, but like I don't really consider Iggy Pop to be punk. I know he's probably more punk in certain definitions of the word than anyone else, but like a bit jangly, old skinny man, don't give a fuck. I know he's seen as a punk icon, but like no, there's people more punk.
I don't know enough about him.
No,
me neither. But I really like the description.
I think the best thing about Iggy Pop is just that he's just still alive. Unless he's died, and I don't know about it. Like that's the most impressive thing about it.
No, I think he's still hanging on there. Yeah.
I'm gonna Google.
It's like you've been. It's like your body has been like slowly nourishing itself upon itself for like. Do you know what Iggy Pop is? Iggy Pop's like, in the Dark Souls games where you become like hallowed or something like.
Yeah.
That's what Iggy Pop is. He's what do they call him? Is it hallowed?
Hollowed. Yeah.
Hollowed. That's it. Yeah. Iggy Pop's just a hollowed that just sort of just left for a pop career.
78 years old and still alive.
Still Iggy in.
Yeah. I think one thing.
Yeah, go on.
I was just gonna say. I think one thing, and like maybe this is like straying into the hopeful space, but I think I
feel like you are the most hopeful amongst us, Ben.
It's honestly, I promise you, I figured it out. It's because I'm on annual leave. Literally, give me a week and I'll be back to my doomer self, I'm sure.
Yeah.
But what I was going to say was that I do think that, like, how do I put this? Without sounding like too much like a Redditor, I suppose. I think it's the idea that, like, when there is like kind of competition, people are always just gonna like try and like not necessarily clash, but just like keep on the quality of things just gets better. And like I've seen this a little bit more in like kind of unrelated spaces, so I don't know if the analogy really works, but I know like definitely when it came to like from the tech side, like lots of different companies have really been trying to like make things markedly better for people, like lowering prices of certain products, adding more features, blah 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 blah, and like that kind of like they kind of clash so that like they can get more money and more people buy. That is kind of like a jank comparison, but I really like the idea that like maybe hypothetically that like the more things that are talked about and are identified by different parties, other parties will be like, oh shit, like we're seeing this happen in real time. What do we need to do to like change and get people on our side? Because like just this morning, Greens overtook the Tories, and that number has been steadily rising. I believe, and I will have to double check, the voting intention at the moment for Greens is either tied or just below with Labour. But yeah, it's just like, if only certain parties and powers that be would be like, oh shit, the Greens are actually doing stuff. What can we do to learn from them? Then like it would be a better place for all. But again, this literally might be like the annual leave hopefulness like kind of creeping in. But yeah, no, that's what I was just gonna say, that like when moves are getting made and like it actually works, maybe people will be able to stand up and be like, oh shit, let's reconsider.
Well, it's like I say.
I do think like
go on.
With like Starmer and that, like obviously chasing whatever seems popular at the vote, at the moment. It's like that's why they've gone like mental on immigration and shit over the last 20 years. It's like if Polanski can pull like what is popular and like shift the Overton window a bit to what something else that gets people likely to vote for stuff,
which I think
then
was his
hopefully we can just
intention, really, wasn't it? I think when he started.
yeah. If we can just leave the conversation, we can just fight about something else that might actually have some good outcomes rather than just only bad outcomes.
Yep.
It's all right because Starmer and everyone is just gonna install AI into all of our government processes or something, and there will be good. What was it I see the other day? Oh, I can't. What was it? I mean, in a sea of literal fucking AI bullshit. I mean, I've heard that stupid Sam Altman statement read out on about 5 or 6 different podcasts and videos now, and every time I hear it, it kind of makes me very
Which
sad.
one's up?
The one where he's talking about basically like, oh well, Chat
GPT
GPT for, you know, we realised it wasn't that safe, but now we've sorted out all the safety. So actually, we're going to take the safety off of it because, you know what? We're going to treat adults like adults. And this
I've seen this.
went,
You
and
can do porn now.
yeah, and that's where it ended. So we're going to allow it to do erotica. And me and Connie were saying that, like, I mean, I'm sorry, if you start this future technology that was going to be the best of everything, and suddenly you're pivoting into like pornography. It's like, tell me that your shit is cooked without telling me that your shit is cooked. Like,
porn is where all tech goes to die, isn't it? You get this massive bubble, and then it's just like the fucking pornographers that take it up in the
tech
end.
goes to die, or tech just kind of like evolves like a Pokemon and just stays there and thrives. Like, if you want to make money, make pornography, but like. I did love the way he talked about how basically, it was a bit too agreeable and it was a bit weird and it like caused some safety concerns. But we've looked into it now and we've fixed it. So actually, we're going to take all the safety off so that you can do what you like with it. So it's just like, because it's just like, do you know what? It was unfair to those people that didn't have mental problems. It's like, yeah, but a lot of the people that have gone fucking insane off of AI didn't have mental problems until your stupid machine started talking to them. Like,
yep.
I don't want to go down too much of an AI avenue because it's just fucking depressing. But like, it is funny that like this is a blatant move of desperation, which no one will see it like that. But you must have seen recently, which is the thing that is in my mind every time I think about it, is that diagram that's doing the rounds of how Nvidia sells something to someone else and they buy off someone else and then they buy stocks in them, and then it's like this very confusing diagram that goes round and round but just shows basically how a few of these companies are basically just passing money backwards and forwards and blasting like the prices through, which like I'm not a big time economics guy. I don't really understand a lot of it. I'm not a lover of numbers, but isn't it something like 80% of, and again, this is I don't understand, but 80% of growth is actually attributed to the AI bubble? Or, in effect, there is no growth, only the AI bubble, which is about to kind of fucking burst because it is just people passing money backwards and forwards to each other. And just like, again, maybe we should think about this in a different way. What's the world look like when Nvidia becomes like the most powerful company in the world? What do they do with their power?
Loads of polygons.
Yeah, everything's gonna have so many polygons.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe partner with fucking Palantir or something and just power their AI schematics. Oh, who knows, or algorithms.
And then we'll be ducking behind trees to hide from the hunter-seeker drones as we go to Sainsbury's to get like a fucking can of beans or some shit.
Don't forget with our government-sponsored digital ID.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how to feel about that because like there is an element of like, what doesn't the fucking government know about me anyway? I suppose it's used in different. It'll be used for wrongdoing in different ways than I'm possibly conceiving. Like in terms of having like official ID, like I have a passport. Like I'm not like I suppose I failed to consider the bad things that could be done through an ID. I mean, obviously, I don't know. It's disenfranchisement, I suppose, because is this going to be something where it's like, well, you've got to pay for this ID because you need your ID to vote or something like that? Is it one of those things where it's like, oh, we're very cleverly removing a whole section of people from the voting pool because they're poor and they can't afford to pay the poll tax or pay for the the ID or whatever it is. What was the thing recently that happened? They were going to do it. So it was the Tories that were going to do it, weren't they? Basically, it's the same idea. It just keeps coming back around. I think the biggest red flag with that is just that like that was Tony Blair's fucking obsession. So it's like
and it went down a treat then, didn't it?
we should just not do anything that prick says.
Right? Yeah. If Tony Blair thought it was a good idea, stop it right now.
Maybe out of like obstinance more than anything.
But yes, just because he said it rather than because.
Yeah.
But I think the issue with that will be it's not so much what having it will do, so much as what not having it on you will entitle cops to do.
That's true. I suppose that's the kind of I mean, provided we don't get an ICE situation over here, then
God.
I suppose that's because if that was America, that would be like, oh, you don't have your card on you, you're going to fucking El Salvador for a little holiday before we. Although actually, like the people that go into El Salvador, like I've heard that they don't know what's happened to them after that point. Like they're not coming.
Lost X amount of people.
I've just now all I can think of though is did anyone ever watch Prison Break when that was on? I didn't watch the first two seasons. The only season of that TV that I watched because my mate was watching it that I used to live with was that after they'd done the first couple of seasons, which was essentially breaking out of a Western prison, which is essentially like that was the story, that was the idea. I guess it was popular, so they had to do more. So then somehow they find themselves in a different situation that puts them into a South American prison. It's like, oh, cool, so we're just doing this again. But it was quite interesting because it was South American prison and there was all kind of crazy things like everyone was very harsh there. It's very like, I've heard South American prisons are not very nice, pretty lawless places. But in Prison Break, whatever season it was, they had this whole thing of like you could challenge another inmate to like a duel to the death by throwing down a chicken foot on the. That's the most thing I remember about it was that people were getting killed left, right, centre, and someone fought someone because they threw down the chicken foot. But that's my only knowledge of what potentially a South American prison is like. But perhaps I should just like we should dismiss Tony Blair, I should probably dismiss, I don't even know what, was it HBO? Who made that? But I should probably dismiss their opinion as well. That this is not an accurate representation of a South American jail. It's probably a lot worse.
The chicken foot thing seems like a weird thing to make up if that's the case.
A what, sorry?
The chicken foot thing seems like a weird thing to make up if it's not the case.
It does. It's also like, is there a racial element? Is it like veering along lines towards sort of like voodoo or some shit? Oh, they're in South America. They're all like ethnic. They probably do some wacky shit down there. Maybe they've got chicken.
Yeah, probably
maybe they've got a chicken foot.
Wouldn't understand.
Yeah, I don't know. What's everyone been doing gaming wise? I know that I can see from the Discord that Mark's been a bit undecisive lately. He's just popping in and out of different things.
Yeah, Cyberpunk's back. New World's installed because apparently the new expansion's dead good.
I'm gonna have to go back to that as well. Too many new things coming out. WoW Legion Remix is out. That Fellowship has just come out. Guild Wars 2 expansion comes out at the end of this month. Too many things.
I know I've said this and I've been saying it since it came out, but I need to finish Dawn Trail. I just simply don't want to.
Oh, I got my email through again today saying, "Thank you.
You've paid your subscription.
Your subscription has been taken successfully." It's
I hope you're enjoying it.
Fuck! I've got to play it. I just don't want to play it. Yes, I do. I really want to see like more of the game because I'm well aware that certain art is for me and not for others, and vice versa, or whatever. So you just don't have to like. Just because a lot of people like something, you don't have to like it. But in my brain, I'm convinced that like I can't like not. There can't be all these people that fucking like FF14 and it not actually be good. And it's like I said in my video, like when you play it, well, aside from some minor aesthetic differences and some locations of things. It's like playing World of Warcraft. It's a classic MMO. It tab targets. It controls like a classic MMO. So it's very familiar. So then why is it just so fucking irritating? And and it's just because everyone's told me that actually it gets really good in the later expansions because we know the first expansion was the base game was a bit of a fucking mess owing to what they had to do. But I do need to get there, but it's like, I just can't. Because every time I think about it, I've got like, I'm so close to the end of the first expansion, but I've got like 2 or 3 fates to do or something like that. And then every time I go, okay, well, how do I do that? I keep looking at things and it'll go, okay, the prerequisite for this is that quest. And I go, okay, the prerequisite, and it's like, fuck off. And I have to start doing about like 20 different quests just to be able to do the quest I want to do. And then there's the thing about like.
And none of the quests are good.
They're not good. But then there's the thing about like having to. What was I going to say? Like having to do these group content. I moaned about this in the video, but the group content in terms of like everything else. You just let me do it with like a fucking bunch of NPCs. Even like fates or whatever it is, where it's not like a dungeon, it's just sort of essentially you just turn up, like you materialize, and then you just kick the shit out of a boss, and then you like dematerialize. There's no like, oh, we've got to run through the dungeon to get to the thing. It's just usually like the point here is you just kill this boss. And so even with like that, like in some of the story parts, you're allowed to do those fights with NPCs, like AI NPCs. And then suddenly you get to a point where it's like, no, you won't let me do it with AI NPCs. I have to have other people. So, like, we've all played MMORPGs and we've all gone, like, look, why did we go back and try New World again when they did that bit of a refresh? Because you all go back in and you're all on the server at the same time and there's people running around. Now, if you're playing, one good thing about MMORPGs in the modern day is that because they're kind of like, unless you're a behemoth, you're at the end of your life cycle. You're not very popular anymore. And so a lot of them have gone free to play. So in fact, because they're free to play and because they've all been running for so long, there's an incredible amount of content that you can like eke out of any of these kind of games. And because like they've all been like running sort of so long, there's so many different expansions for all of these. So your cup runneth over. But one thing that doesn't runneth over is that if you join late and you're like, oh, I'm going to have a go at this game, I'm running round the Realm Reborn and every other prick is fucking 6 expansions on for me, which is difficult because I don't even want to play with those pricks. I only want to play the MMORPG on my own. Like, I don't mind if I just sort of like group finder, I go into a dungeon, I'm just going to run after the tank and just throw damage and then we leave it. I'm fine with that kind of stuff. I don't like forced social interactions. And to be honest, Final Fantasy 14 doesn't do that either. Like, the most you get is you get some fucking weeb going like, hello everyone, ooh woo, at the beginning of like a boss fight, and then you just go, hi, and then you all shoot the thing, and then you just go GG, enter, and then you just leave the dungeon group. Like, I don't know. But Final Fantasy 14 remains like an irritant to me, and I might as well go in and actually just cancel my subscription now, because it's going to be months, maybe even next year before I get back to it. Bearing in mind what else is coming out.
I've got Outer Wilds 2 on my to play list. It comes out at the end of this month, which I didn't realize.
I didn't do the first one. I don't know if it just felt a bit like I played it, but I don't know if it's a bit too aimless for me. It's not aimless. There's loads of stuff you've got to figure out and do. What I mean is that the game's expecting me to do it for myself. And I just kind of want to be led through corridors and say, like, blow this thing up. I understand that there's like a great mystery there, this whole kind of like time cycle that keeps going. And every time you go back, start again. It's not like a roguelike. Well, I suppose it's kind of a bit like a roguelike, because each time that time elapses, the next time you rematerialize and you start again in the time loop, you obviously, in your brain, take all the knowledge you've learned from your previous experiences. So it's over that period of keep doing things again that you learn, oh, I need to go there, do this, or I'm going to go to that part this time and I'm going to learn that thing, and I go to that part this next time. And it's like, it is obviously a great game, but sometimes maybe I just don't want to think too hard. The other thing that's good about that game as well is that it's actually made by the guy that owns the company, the development company that made the game, is the guy that played fucking Hero from Heroes. Did anyone watch Heroes?
No.
The superhero sci-fi.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, way back when, yeah.
Yeah. So, who was it? Anyway, one of those guys was involved. I've been playing that.
I thought Outer Wilds was Bethesda.
What's that, sorry?
I thought Outer Wilds was Bethesda.
It might. Bethesda are like a publisher, isn't it? So it might be that they just licensed it. But yeah, it's the funny little fella who shouts "Yatta!" If I'm the only one that's actually seen. It's published by Annapurna Interactive. Mobius Digital. That's the development company. Yeah, it's him. Which is pointless. This point, no one else has seen it, so it's fucking. Who cares? I've got my mic in front.
But we know now, and that's what's important.
Yeah, I just like that he done Heroes, and then he went, I've made some money now. I'm gonna go and open.
Just make computer.
Yeah, I'm gonna make computer, and he just fucked off, and now he's making computer. He looks very happy about it, and although he's the founder, he's put himself right over to the right-hand side of the group team picture. He's not trumping it up in the middle there. He's obviously a what's the word? Modest, humble guy with his own game studio. Anyway.
But yeah, I didn't play the first one, so
nah.
It was Fallout in space, right? Am I right in thinking that basically?
Oh, you're thinking of Outer Worlds.
Oh, right. Okay. There now.
Yeah, Outer Worlds is essentially the Bethesda game. It's who did New Vegas? Obsidian.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's Obsidian. They did that one. It's very highly rated, so probably better than I am. He was also in the Meg, that guy. Anyway, it doesn't matter. Another shit film.
But yeah, I think New World will be focused for me for a little bit, just to see if it's actually going to catch my attention this time.
It's like a horror thing, isn't it?
I do not.
I think so. Yeah. So if anything is going to, it'll be that.
If you want to get New World, Ben, that's like I think it's like a 2 expansion. Like you're gonna have to buy 2 things at this point, unless they do. You could just buy the latest one or something like that. It's a shame because, like, to some degree, I quite like the combat and stuff in New World. like having obviously played a lot of MMORPGs in recent years, like that is one thing that I sometimes wonder, and it comes up around World of Warcraft. So it's less of a problem in Guild Wars 2 because Guild Wars 2 has a total of 10 assignable skills that you can put in your hotbar. Whereas like World of Warcraft, I can have like about 7 different action bars active. And you can click on them with your mouse, and then I click on them with the keys, like, and then I have to have a second row where I'm using control and a number to click on something. So it just has so many, and it's like, do we really need like that many skills? Whereas New World has like essentially like 3 skills and an attack.
Yeah.
And then you build out your build by, I guess, sort of adding, more like passive multiplier, stuff like that on it. But like I feel like there is something about this kind of like a more simplified action combat, even though I do like tab targeting. But I do wonder whether like whether there's too much bloat in Warcraft, and I wonder whether they know that as well, because they've brought out this one button thing. And I've been using that for everything now, but it's not just one button. It's like that one there. You press it and it will go, right, I'm at this distance. There's this many enemies. I'll do this move. It's on cooldown. I'll do that move, and it just works through your attack moves. But it doesn't do all of them. But also you can say, well, actually, that one particular skill, I want to have that button next to that one because I want to have a bit more independent control over that skill, and then I'll just rotate with my one button. This all probably sounds like nonsense, but for instance, like the hunter's got like a skill called barbed shot. When you shoot barbed shot, it applies bleed for a period of time, and if you shoot that, you can stack it up to like 3 times. So the idea is, and I think it provides buffs to your pet's damage and stuff like that. So the idea is when you're playing that Beastmaster Hunter, is you kind of, depending on how you've made your build, is that you've got to kind of be aware of like looking at the, how many stacks of barbed shot do I have active, and can I keep them sort of going all the time? So I do use a combination of, I handle everything for like a basic rotation with one, and then because so much of MMORPGs is obviously going through, I have this skill and then I do this skill and that one's on cooldown, so I do that, and you work out the rotation that you do as you sort of go through those. But I feel like so much of like when you become good at MMORPGs or an MMORPG is when you're not just about like, oh, I know what damage I do. It's all those other skills that are like situational, like, oh, I can see they're casting, so now I'm going to use my interrupt. Oh, I can see that this is going to happen, I'm going to use my shield. Whereas before, when I play, I'd be very focused on making sure I keep doing the rotation rather than reacting to what's actually happening to me. And the Guild Wars has always been a bit more like that. It's like you just kind of let a couple of main skills do the damage, and you're just holding everything else in reserve for when you actually need it. Oh, I need to dodge. I need to phase. I need to shield myself or whatever. Anyway, I feel like that's exceptionally boring and long-winded explanation of barbed shot and just using a one-button rotation. Also,
I do wonder how in-depth combat in New World can get, because I do like more real-time stuff, but how in-depth can it be with that in mind?
Well, this is the thing about like Guild Wars 2 is that you have a similar sort of thing because you're able to dodge roll, you're able to kind of move around quite quick, but you just do have like a couple more like skills that you can use, and you can change because of the way you swapping your weapon swaps kind of like exactly how that form of magic is applied. If you've got an axe, it's different to a staff or whatever. And like that is way more between Warcraft and New World. And I played New World all the way up until like top level, so level 60, and then I just kind of like stopped. It didn't have that kind of like, oh, it makes me want to go back and kind of play it again or anything. But how much complexity can come out of 3 moves and a heavy and a light attack?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we should ask the fighting games expert over here. I feel like he would know.
Yeah, I suppose theoretically a shitload, but
yeah,
how much of it is in an MMO?
Here's a question then for the fighting genre. In MMORPGs, you'll have kind of like what you'll call burst damage, where there is a combination, an order of like skills you can press, which is going to do as much damage as quick as possible. So like that's what you're trying when you're playing Guild Wars 2, you're trying to work out like if I do this. So sometimes you've got to look at the tooltip because it say actually by using this you proc a different skill that then will trigger. So like you might want to do some things in certain orders to sort of apply the buff and then continue the damage. And so when you're using that, you're trying to figure out these are the combination of skills with their cooldowns that will allow me to do the most damage as quick as possible. Is there something like that in like fighting games where it's like these are the order and combinations which will allow me to sort of like essentially just throw out the most amount of moves and damage in one like burst? Is it based upon that's a very slow kick, but if I press this button, I can actually just I don't know. Are we getting into
animation cancel?
I was about to say that, but like,
no,
it was a thought that appeared in my mind because I'm trying to think now the complexity of like what is for most fighting games. What is it? 3 levels of kick and punch, and then some.
Well, I mean, in Tekken,
stuff.
there's 2 because it's just each button is an appendage.
Oh yeah.
But then you've got combo scaling, so the damage that you do decreases the more hits are in a combo.
Oh.
So sometimes you have to know whether or not to carry it on for the sake of it or whether to drop it so it doesn't do it. And then more and more these days, like there are like characters that can buff or debuff or have installs and stuff like that, which I don't care for. But it's becoming an increasingly popular thing.
Interesting.
You're making the neurons fire a little bit from my end because for the One Piece card game, not necessarily the same as that, but you can do some very, very fun things depending on like what color deck you're playing. But there's one thing that I did earlier this morning because I was playing with a yellow deck, which all has to do with like you have a certain number of hit points. Yellow decks manipulate that in one way or the other, either yours or the enemy's hit points. But I did this thing this morning where instead of like kind of buffing, myself, I just said screw you to the enemy, and I was just like I played a character down. She brings down another character. When that character is brought down, you can automatically KO something else from the enemy's side in the deck, and then you can just like kind of. And because of that effect, I was able to add 2, I suppose, mana to whatever character and just like swing for like 7,000 power as opposed to like 5,000, which is the base for all leaders. Which is a lot of fun because like you suddenly have like 2 new bodies on the board and you get an empowered swing. And then there was another one where I did, it was just like if you play a card, you just get rid of one of their lives. So it's a lot of fun, and also just like I just love that type of strategy. Now, if you start talking to me about like plans of actions and just like how to like think of like how many moves ahead, I can't do that yet. But when I hear of people like trying to figure out like the most efficient way, I'm just like, ooh, my ears are perking up. And yeah, I just like learning that type of thing.
Is you playing against other people, or have you got like a training app or something?
It can be both. I think I find it more. I find it better to play against other people. There are some like very bad matchups that like I just don't have the momentum for, but it's really good to get practice against that because the deck that I was playing is very very aggro, but it has no staying power. It's like you kill them in 4 turns or you just lose basically.
So I've got a question for you actually, which is not necessarily One Piece related, but it's more like card game related, so Magic, whatever. But like when I suppose this is a little bit the same for like Warhammer, like 40k. But when you sit down to do a battle, right, you're going to play a game. Like I'm guessing that it's like Warhammer 40k, where it's like you're bringing your armies and you're bringing your deck. Now, what I'm getting at here, and like maybe I'm sounding incredibly boomer, is like who determines what cards you can bring, or do you just go, well, I've just been collecting these cards and this is my deck. So what I'm saying here is that if you've got loads of money, can you just fucking piss on everyone because you go, I've just spent all the money getting the best cards? Like, is that
well, pretty much.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Sounds fair.
However, there's a couple of other things. So like, there are a couple of things that determines like what deck you can bring. So I've got one example. You can't really see this,
like
but basically
tournament rules or something.
Yeah, there are tournament rules. There's also like outside of tournament rules, there are competitive rules, and there's just like the normal rules. So like, let's say for example, you won't really be able to see this properly, but this is you might be able to. This is this leader card is green and yellow. Yeah. So if I'm building around this, I can like put 50 cards that are either green or yellow in my deck, and that makes up my deck, right? On top of that, there is a specific like type that kind of like comes from their narrative standpoint. So this is called this is like the archetype this leader's from is like Land of Wano. So that just means that like it would be within my best interests to like build around that type of archetype within those colors because that gives me a lot more options. Now, on top of that, your first question was kind of true because like the best deck a few months ago was easily like 200 plus, just because like there was a certain card that was going for like a disgusting amount of money per one, and like you can play up to 4 of the same card. Now, I digress a little bit. The reason why that was the best deck in the format, because we're just like, it could do so much stuff so quickly, quicker than the enemy deck could do. But the reason why I say that, like, in theory, you can kind of buy out the best thing. It doesn't necessarily mean that you'll be skilled enough to use it. And also, Bandai, who made like this card game, are very, very like very focused on like the competitive health, so they ban cards every like wave or so. So that does make it a little bit easier. And they're doing another thing where like there have been like 13 editions at November of like different types of boxes, but in April next year they're like shelving like boxes 1 to 4. So that's like 600 different cards that are like not going to be able to be played anymore, basically. So they're quite on top of it in the competitive thing. But
because I was going to ask that, like, how do they? Because I assume like when a card is printed, that's permanent now. Like, so it's not like in a MMORPG or something where you can go in and we can nerf. That character, that card, because it's too powerful. So do they just deal with that by just continually releasing new stuff, and then that new stuff will be, well, that's actually now the card du jour. That's the best card, and like you said, and then also we're like just slowly just removing things from the pool. So it's always shifting, which of course is just a fucking capitalist dream because it means you need to go to the fucking shop and buy another packet of cards. So is that how much of these professional players? I imagine it's like, you know, when you hear about Twitch streamers who Twitch stream FIFA Ultimate Team, and they just spend thousands and thousands and thousands of it because for them it's worth it because they're making money off it because they're streaming it. But like for every normal person, like Ultimate Team, like I just like Magic is so popular, and people are just buying fucking. How much it costs for a packet of cards?
Depends on what type of deck that you have. So the one that I showed you, I bought two starter decks, which were £11 each.
Okay.
So 20 quid, and then I did add a couple of different cards, which cost me like I think it was another 20. And the reason why it cost me another 20 is because I got them from the used market. And
so you're
I wasn't
buying
really...
that specific card that you wanted rather than a pack.
Yes, but they were pennies. But the issue that I didn't realize until much later was postage.
Yeah. Okay. Right. It just now I'm stuck in a different train of thought because I'm just thinking like, as we discussed this process, it's like, God, this is so fucking insidious in terms of like, we're gonna make you buy new cards. I don't know how many cards you feel like you have to buy before you've got like a competent deck. So like, no matter you're always encouraged to go and get new because we have to keep churning and revolving. You're also then having stuff taken out. Because the other thing that made me think of it like, oh God, this is horrible as well, is because it's fucking loot crate as well, isn't it, really? It's like you're going to buy the packet and you're going to open it and go, oh, I got that card, which I understand how that could be exciting. But that is like, every part of this is just so I knew it didn't like Magic the Gathering.
The only recompense and the only thing that makes it a little bit nicer is just... If I wasn't playing like in person, I would probably be down that like pipeline so easily. But like there are lots of people at my local comic store that will just be doing trades and stuff, and that makes it a hell of a lot easier.
Yeah.
One really, really good example I can give you, going back to your point about like the loot crate thing, was there was a what do you call it? A box that came out this month that I was interested in getting for basically, if I'm going to be honest, maybe at least like 3 different cards I really wanted from there. But like, long story short of it is it's basically, it was a limited run, which also made the company justify the price. And on top of that, it was a smaller amount of cards that you would get in the normal one, where in the normal one, you would get, what was it? 12 packs of 12, if I remember correctly. And then in this one, you would get 10 packs of 10. I think that's the way it was. So it was already a lower amount, but they were a reprint box because like some of the cards had gotten turbo expensive, and the idea was to like flood the market with reprints so that the overall cost would go down. However, they introduced new cards in that box, which kind of like split the direction of what they were trying to do, because like some of the new cards in there are very, very good and very competitive. And for reference, I got 2 of those cards, which was really nice. These ones, you want to know how much these went for when they first came out?
Yeah, go on.
For a single card?
Give us the cost and then what you paid for them.
£35.
Okay.
For a single card. I paid 9. So I was supremely lucky. But yeah, I think there's something to be said that like, I don't know what it is about like the card game market or just like the sphere. It's very, very insidious.
Well, I was thinking, it's insidious because of like the whole thing is contrived to sort of make you spend. It's like a Panini soccer album or something, isn't it? Like you're gonna keep until you get fucking Peter Beardsley. You're just gonna keep buying the bloody packets. But then I was like, so it's insidious and it's very capitalistic. And then I was like, but you know what though? Despite all these things, like it's quite a wholesome pastime. Playing card games, physical media, going to meet people. But then I also then thought on like who kind of plays Magic the Gathering, and it's like it went from insidious to insidious but wholesome, and then I was like, oh, actually, I remember Magic fans are fucking demented, so it goes back round and becomes insidious again, but not for the original reason, probably more for like personal hygiene reasons than than it was the first time. All I can say, Ben, is that we're reaching the end of our time here now. All I want to say is I don't watch One Piece. I've wanted to, but I kept like getting stun locked everywhere every time I saw how many episodes there were, and I didn't know where to start. But all I do know from One Piece is that I am obsessed with what's his name, Don Quixote, Don Flamingo.
Yeah.
So I would like you to build your deck around Don Quixote, Don Flamingo. And I think you should start wearing a feather boa to go to meetups as well.
If I can find one.
Psychological intimidation, isn't it?
Well, all I'm telling you is in January. Well, there is a new box coming out, and it will feature Doflamingo. So, the wheel keeps on turning. The wheel keeps on turning. Okay. The only other thing I was going to say is just that, like, going and actually like meeting people, very, very wholesome, and like, sometimes like when other people's successes are there, it kind of like feeds into like your want to do well, because like some dude was there a couple of weeks ago. I think I shared it in our WhatsApp. Basically, when you play the competition, you pay £7 to participate. You get a free pack at the end. Right. Some dude picked up a pack, pulled the pack open, picked up a card on the market, genuinely worth like a month of my rent, like from the local place, which is like insane to think about. Like, but
I think the key thing here is what you just said, is that like the fact that you're going, like, and you're playing this under different circumstances to maybe what I envision in my head. In my head, I think all I'm seeing is like a Papa Meat video talking about how much people stank at the Magic the Gathering competition. But like, there is, I think there's something to say about these games, much like Warhammer 40k. I think we'll move that on to a different conversation on a different recording. I'd like to have a long conversation about how I haven't formulated it all yet, but just how I think that Warhammer 40k and Dungeons and Dragons could potentially end male loneliness and basically just sort a lot of humanity out. I'm not sure how exactly to do it, but I just think that, like, it's something around being interested in something, reading about things, lore, painting. There's a very like relaxing side of that hobby, and then you go and you play with people, you meet other people. But just like with Magic the Gathering, you've got that thing which is like, I think about it and I go, well, do you know what? That sounds lovely. And then, like, we probably spoke about this before as well, but then I just remember like all the weird fashy elements in 40k and some of the weird fashy people that support it, and it's just like, okay, well, be careful of those guys. But otherwise, I'm still formulating my plan for Warhammer 40k to deliver us from a male identity crisis.
Fair.
We use space fascists to condition them out of fascism. Or something like that. I don't know.
I'm slowly turning, and this will be the last thing I mention, but I'm slowly but surely trying to turn some of the people I play D&D, I DM for, into like leftist sleeper agents. I'm pretty sure they're like left leaning anyway, but it's very, very fun. I think I've told you the story about like how I one of the characters who are in one of the people who play, I kind of talked about like astroturfing their like home into like a holiday resort.
Oh yeah, you said, yeah.
Yeah. I've never seen such rage. It was great. But yeah, I am just rage baiting one person with one plot line at a time.
Well, that sounds like a good line to finish on. So, yeah.
Yeah.
Congratulations for raid baiting.
Thank you.
It's felt a bit low energy today. I feel like I'm just sort of sliding in my seat. It's been a delightful conversation, though. Oh well. I guess it's time to go
and
better. Face Sunday.
Stupid Sunday. It's so smart. I'm going to buy a new one, I think.
Fucking Sunday. Fair. Yeah, I'll do something. Gonna eat something. All right, well, goodbye, everyone.
Bye-bye, everybody. Bye-bye. See you guys.
See you later. Bye.